delighted that we have our Secretary of Commerce here, Bobby Hitt. You'll hear more about Mr. Hitt a little bit later. But let's all rise and have the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And this week being Veterans Week, we certainly want to salute all of you who have served our country. Today I am pleased to welcome you to this forum. It is the final of our regional forums of the year, and it is always a great opportunity to take the time to recognize some of the people, organizations, and businesses that are helping to make the upstate a leading place to live, learn, do business, and raise a family. The mission of TATT at the Top is to foster collaboration, trust, and partnerships across the upstate. And gatherings like today are important in doing so and achieving that mission. I want to start off by recognizing and thanking the TATT at the Top Board of Directors who are here today. We have a strong board made up of regional leaders and appreciate their energy and commitment to regional collaboration. If you are a TATT at the Top current or past board member, please stand and be recognized. I also want to thank our sponsors for helping to make today's forum possible. Our presenting sponsor is Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, and you will hear from Jim Shue in just a moment. Our visionary sponsor is Greenville Health System. Our supporting sponsors are Brown Mackie College, Community Works Carolina, GSP International Airport, Regions Bank, and the Rutland Institute of Ethics at Clemson University. Thank you all for recognizing the importance of these regional forums and for helping make them possible. At this time, I also want to thank and recognize R.P. Rama from JHM Hotels. R.P. is one of our board members of TATT at the Top, and JHM Hotels and the Greenville Marriott have been extremely generous in supporting this forum today. Please welcome R.P. for some welcoming remarks.
Thank you, Carol, and I bring greetings from JHM Hotels and all the staff members that work for JHM Hotels at this hotel, the Marriott, the Hyatt downtown, the Courtyard across the street, and the Fairfield. All I can say is that we are very blessed to have a community like Greenville where we are prospering, and our corporate headquarters being in Greenville, people always ask us why Greenville. But we have to say it's because, yeah, that Greenville. And as you can see that the downtown area is becoming very vibrant. All the areas are developing pretty fast. And through TATT at the Top, we all can make it possible where the planning is done correctly and that we give our input to the city officials and the development officers on how we want to manage our growth in terms of traffic and whatnot that we are facing at Woodruff Road. And I really am here just to thank you for being here. And as part of the TATT at the Top board member, I would like to invite you all to become volunteers and support this organization because this is a not-for-profit organization that does everything for us in the community. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, R.P. Since we started the forum series in 2012, Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina has served as our series premier sponsor. We greatly appreciate their continuing support, and it is my pleasure to welcome Jim Shue for a few remarks.
Thank you. I just wanted to also say, beautiful venue. I like to see you car as much as the next person, but I think we've kind of upgraded today, so appreciate you hosting this. Also, I wanted to just ask everyone, if you have not had a chance, please do feel free to visit our Blue Cross and Blue Shield of South Carolina table outside. Even if you know everything that you would care to know about health care and health insurance, I brought with me today our office manager, Nikki Young, who's probably one of the nicest people I know, so you'll enjoy the conversation if you want to have a question about health care. Also, if you're new to TATT at the Top, I hope you'll continue to come to our regional forums. The goal of the group obviously is to facilitate regional collaboration to address key issues that impact both economic vitality as well as quality of life in the upstate. And every year, sort of our last regional forum, it is more on celebrating successes, which is what I'd like to talk about today, to really step back and sort of recognize what we've accomplished and what we continue to work on in the future. But I do want to just let everyone know that despite the fact that we're celebrating successes today, we're continuing to work very hard. As Carol mentioned, we have a really dedicated board that has a lot of good ideas and great leadership with Dean. As a matter of fact, last week we met to talk about a 2015 summit on healthcare that I think is going to be extremely interesting to go through both the economic impact of healthcare, financing of healthcare, and of course innovation in healthcare. So I hope you'll plan to join that forum next year, I think sometime in the second quarter. So with that said, I just want to say thank you everyone for attending. Welcome. I won't keep you. Please do feel free to stop by and visit our booth, and certainly we have a couple of items that you can drop your business card into to pick up at the end of the session. So thank you.
It is now my great privilege to turn our program over to our Executive Director, Dean Hebel.
Thank you, Carol, and thank you, Jim, and thank you, RP, especially for hosting us today, and thanks to everybody for being here for today's forum. As was mentioned by Jim and a couple others, we started these forums in 2012, and when we did them each quarter, as many of you who've been to some know, we always have a topic or an issue that we talk about. And the first year, we said, you know what, at the end of the year, why don't we, instead of only focusing on what we are not doing right or what we need to do better, maybe we should talk a little bit about what we are doing right and what we are doing well, and celebrate that. And so we started that in 2012, and that's what this forum, I think you'll learn some things, and we'll talk about some innovative things and communities across the upstate. Today is also about celebrating what we do right, and that we are a great place to live, to learn, to do business, and to raise a family. So I want to very briefly talk about TATT for those of you who are not familiar with us. Our mission, our vision, you've already heard pretty well articulated by both Jim and by Carol, so I think we can move on from that. One of the things that we do as an organization in fostering collaboration and partnerships, more than anything else, is we host meetings and engagements and discussions about what are those issues that we need to be working on, and who are the right people to have in the room, and how do we get and hopefully have those right people in the room to talk about how we can work collaboratively to address key issues in the upstate. And since 2010, when we started this phase of 10 at the top, we've had now, this will be our 410th regional engagement with over almost 23,000 people who have been involved. So this is the kind of thing, and it's not just about meeting, it's about connecting. How do we connect people with each other? We hope you who are here will make an effort through this to continue to connect, not just through our initiatives and meetings, but all the time with others across the region. I know we have many stories and examples of people who have been part of TATT at the top, who are involved, who are here, who have made many connections, and a lot of great things have happened in the region, not necessarily because of the work we've done, but because of the connections that people have made with each other, and the impetus that you guys have done to make sure that the upstate is a great place to raise a family and to have a business. So instead of me talking longer, we want to very briefly, we had a video we unveiled at the summit, and I know not all of you were there, so we wanted to share it very briefly.
Successful regions have an intuitive spirit of collaboration where leaders come together to collectively address challenges and seize opportunities. Where would the upstate of South Carolina region be today were it not for the vision and determination of Roger Mason, Charles Daniel, Buck Nickel, Robert Ashmore, and others to create GSP Airport back in the early 1960s? Or if business leaders a generation later had not supported the diversification of the upstate economy through the arrival of companies like Michelin and BMW and the creation of the Upstate South Carolina Alliance. Imagine how different the upstate upstate might be, had Tommy Weich, Brad Weich, and others not rallied the region around the idea of preserving our key natural resources. In 2009, more than 400 leaders from all over the upstate came together for a day-long discussion of the future of the upstate, with the region projected to add roughly 300,000 residents over the next 20 years for a population near 1.65 million by the year 2030. They identified alternative patterns for growth that lessen the impacts of sprawling development and maximize the importance of strategic planning and cross-jurisdictional collaboration. One valuable result of the upstate reality check was the formalization of TATT at the top.
Well, I think TATT at the top has an opportunity to bring people together. We really see barriers at the end of the county line where TATT at the top is able to break that down and allow the leaders and community members in all 10 counties to look at ourselves as one region.
Since being incorporated as a nonprofit, TATT at the top has focused on fostering the regional trust and partnerships needed to ensure that the upstate is able to reach its full potential and maximize the opportunities associated with being a growing and vibrant region.
What I like most about TATT at the top, it's not about a particular segment of life. It's not about economic development solely. It's not about educational development. It's not just about transportation. It's about all the factors that determine and influence the quality of life for the citizens of the upstate.
Some of the things that TATT at the top has done over the last several years, you have more collaborations, you have the private sector, you have government involved, nonprofits. That's pretty powerful when you have many people at the table pulling in the same direction.
With TATT at the top, working on vibrancy, identifying through the reality check that that's one of the goals of the upstate, is so revealing that there's so many opportunities here to make a difference with relatively small effort. And when people come together and bring these ideas together and bring in other examples from other places to show what can be done, it's simple to say, why don't we do that here?
I think it's very important when you look at the fact that roads aren't defined by counties, water isn't defined by counties, where people live versus where they work isn't defined by a county line. So it's important that we build those relationships that are able to collaborate throughout the entire upstate.
TATT at the top does a great job, I think, at corralling all the organizations to continue with the conversation on how to work through these issues so that we're very competitive.
More than 400 regional meetings, forums, presentations, and other activities that have engaged more than 21,000 participants. TATT at the top has helped leaders from across the region build relationships and create partnerships that are helping increase the capacity of the region to address key issues. TATT at the top and leaders from across the upstate are on a continuous journey to build a culture that utilizes collaboration and partnerships to enhance the regional economy and quality of life in the upstate of South Carolina.
The combination of Greenville, the mountains, the lakes, that Oconee has, I mean, it's a combination of all those things that make an area more attractive, not just what one particular place has to offer.
When we think about the resources that we have in the upstate today, which is pretty remarkable, and we think about the success that we're enjoying, which is also pretty remarkable, one thing we know for sure, if we do not plan and we do not think ahead, some of those dreams may not be realized, and maybe some of what we love about the upstate will be gone. So how do we make sure that we invest in the right ways in infrastructure and in planning, and in education and supporting our young people as they grow and learn? How do we do that today to make sure that the tomorrow is as exciting and as bright as we think it is?
Thank you. And there have been many people who have been involved with what is now TATT at the top. It started out, I understand, as the Upstate Working Group for Collaboration or something like that. And then it was called Upstate Together for a number of years. It became TATT at the top in 2009. And one of the people who evidently missed an early meeting, I understand, was Irv Welling. And the punishment, I guess, was that Irv became the chair of TATT at the top, or what it was named at the time, and led us really through 2011 and is still very actively involved. And at the close of his term, and then with these forums and stuff in 2012, we wanted to recognize both Irv and the value of collaboration. And so at the time we created the Welling Collaboration Award. It is given now every year. This is the third year that it's been given. The first two recipients, both of whom representatives are in the room. Erwin Madry, who was the first recipient, and then GSP Airport and Dave Edwards is here, who received it last year. And so I'm going to turn it over to Irv to announce our recipient for 2014.
I have to say, it is pretty neat to have an award now. I mean, that's pretty good stuff. I don't know whether it's deserved or not, but nonetheless, I enjoy it. So, as I look back and knowing that back in September when we had our regional forum celebrating the 5th anniversary of the exercise we did in 2009, we had over 800 people there and a lot of great corporate support. I may have mentioned this a little bit to a couple of people earlier tonight. I think that was a real breaking point, I think, for this whole organization and for regionalism. I mean, we're kind of beginning to really get some good momentum here. I thank everybody in this room for it. On to the award. This is a particularly special occasion for me to be able to honor our recipient tonight, who's Bobby Hitt. I'm sure that's not a big surprise since he's here, but Bobby's been in the deal ever since. He's one of the fathers of regionalism. I remember when we were starting the Upstate Alliance back in 2000. Bill Workman and I went to call on Bobby out at BMW, and at that point in time, I didn't know Bobby very well. I met him, but didn't know him well. But since then, we've become very close friends, and another thing I think that comes from regionalism. But we made Bobby, we made a pitch, and we were asking for a pretty good ask for BMW to be a big corporate sponsor of the Upstate Alliance. And we thought, man, we're stretching, we're really asking for a lot. Probably have to go through a lot of hoops to get it. And we put the ask on the table, and Bobby's immediate response, we're in. It was just that easy because Bobby got it. And he's done a lot of things behind the scene over the years that exemplify that as well. And so, without any further ado, Bobby, come on up.
It's absolutely great to be here. It's always good to be back home in the upstate. I've had a great pleasure of, in my life, growing up in Charleston and living for about the next 20 years. I'm not seeing after I grew up, because some people would say I haven't done that yet. But about 20 years in Charleston and 20 years in Columbia and 20 years here in the upstate. It's been a remarkable experience. When I came here, there was no collaboration in the upstate. I mean, essentially none. I remember my early arrival, I was asked to be on the board of both chambers of commerce, and I provoked them into having a meeting of the two executive committees of the Greenville and Spartanburg chambers, and we met in secret at the airport, Dave. And that's where we met, behind that wall in the old dining room back there, so no one would see us. And then interestingly enough, everybody realized they knew each other, and it was like, then it started to move. And the two chambers started to share some staff, and other things started to happen. And I got caught between two bookends, one of them known as Bill Workman, who I'd known most of my life, who was probably the first great regionalist I met, and then there's Irv. And for those of you who've never had the Irv Welling infection, let me tell you, regionalism is what it's all about. And the upstate is what it's all about. We are being successful in South Carolina right now in economic development because of this regional attitude that we have accepted and embraced all over this state. We have 8 alliances around South Carolina now, built around naturally drawn together business zones like the 10 at the top. And this is what makes us successful. And it makes us successful because from the commerce point of view, what I asked the General Assembly to do is give me money to fund these regional alliances, and then the regional alliances match that money with local dollars, and that's how we market. I want you to stop and think about what that means. We don't market from Columbia, because people don't come and locate their companies in a state. People locate their companies in a community. They locate in a community where they can find the necessary ingredients to be profitable, in a place where they see good employees, good workforce, good opportunity for their families and for their employees. And that's what regionalism is really all about. I remember early on in the early days at BMW, we had people that moved here, and some wanted to live in a loft, and some wanted to live on a farm, and some wanted to live in a suburban house because they'd come from a big city. And you know what? We had it all here. And that was the reason that we've been successful. Regionalism works. I've taken what I have learned from Herb and others, and we're applying it all over the state. Right now, just to give you an idea, I'm being asked by our neighboring states to do regionalism now. And that's mainly because we're beating the hell out of both of them. That's North Carolina and Georgia. And so I told them I'd be glad to listen, but I probably will drag my feet just a little bit on the big regionalism. To give you an idea, that so far this year, our dear friends in North Carolina, and they are important to me because they did steal our last name, and sometimes people get confused. Oh yeah, they did steal our last name, that's true, that's exactly how it happened. At any rate, so far this year, they've recruited about a little less than 10,000 jobs so far this year, and about $1.4 billion. Your state, this region, and the other regions collectively, working together as teams, we have recruited over 16,000 jobs and almost $5 billion. We started the year with $2 billion announcements here in the 10 at the top. One was at BMW, good old reliable BMW, thank you, Bob, Max, Doug. Been a remarkable story over the last 20 years. And then a brand new product called carbon fiber, a company called Torrey, here in the upstate, where we'll be the only consolidated carbon fiber plant in North America today. Gives us the opportunity to become great in a new product and to become a teacher of the rest of the country through our educational system. It works. Regionalism works. And when I got here, you couldn't get people in Greenville and Spartanburg to talk. Now we got 10 talking. How's that? Thank you very much. Keep up with it.
The next thing we're going to do is celebrate some of our successes and anniversaries across the upstate. When we started this in 2012, as I mentioned, it was one of those things where I heard about several companies that year. I think it was Greenville Health System and the airport and a few others. We said, you know what, these are examples of organizations that are really the backbone of the upstate. And so each year since we have invited and recognized companies who are celebrating anniversaries this year. And so you have the list in your program. I'm going to read through it. If you represent any of these organizations, and some are churches certainly, and then a lot of businesses and community organizations, we hope you'll come forward. We're going to take a group picture up here, and we'll sing happy birthday and have a good time. So as I'm reading, please come on up. First, we'll start with our 20-year anniversaries. BMW, which we'll hear a little bit more from in a minute. We've already heard a little bit from Bobby. Kids Chance of South Carolina, Diamonds and Gold Direct, Foothills Import Automotive, Glen Raven Anderson Plant, Piedmont Care, Senior Follies, and Synesis International. 25 years, Associated Fuel Pump Systems Corporation, Boys and Girls Club of the Upstate, Habitat for Humanity in Spartanburg, Greenville State Bank, Rescom Construction, Ronald McDonald House Cherries of the Carolinas, and Sheer Class Styling Salon. As I'm reading, folks, if everybody who has the anniversary would come on up, then we can recognize and take our picture. So if you represent any of those organizations, please don't be shy. I saw Tim Justice earlier, and I know Max and the BMW folks are here. So, and many others have told me, Danny Joyner is here, and others. So as I'm reading, please come on, feel free and come on up. Our 30-year anniversary is AFL Global, Consolidated Southern Industries, DP Architecture, Gateway, Gray Engineering Consultants, Leadership Anderson, Lockheed Martin, Nature's Corner Florist. 35 years are Elder Source and Jack Runyon Clothiers. 40 years, the Fine Arts Center of Greenville, Greenville County Redevelopment Authority, Greenwood Genetics Center, Henderson Grant and Vythe, Ray's Vacuum and Sewing, the Warehouse Theater. 50 years, Acme Logistics, BHHS Dan Joyner, I know a number of folks from there are here, Dixie Machine Tools, First Southern Methodist Church, Keenan Tire and Auto, Mitsubishi Polyester Film. I should keep going with the slides. Palmetto Plating Company, Scadles Jewelry, Spartanburg Community College, 60 years. We have Atchison Transport Services, Dutton Commercial Services, Ellis Repair Service, Locksmith, Fountain Inn Chamber of Commerce, Lafayette Scientific Cleaners, Meyer Center for Special Children. 65 years, Happy Hearts Community Center and WWBCU Union. 70 years, Nimitz Associated Oil Company. 75 years, Canal Insurance and Lawrence Electric Cooperative. 100 years, the Greer Fire Department, and we have some representatives from there with us. Smith Grove Baptist Church and Westside Baptist. 105 years, Kenny Lutheran Church. 110 years, the Union County Chamber of Commerce. Torrance and some of his folks are here. 115 years, the Anderson Independent Mail. 120 years, Cumberland Shoals Baptist Association. 125 years, Chattahoochee Church. Cedar Grove Missionary Baptist Church, Cherokee Falls Baptist Church, Crossroad Baptist Church, Greenwood Mills, Kiwi Baptist Church, Pendleton Street Baptist Church, and Whitney First Baptist. At 150 years, Taylor Baptist Church. A lot of churches in the upstate. Never would have thought. 175 years, Anderson Baptist Church, Andersonville Baptist Church, Erskine College. I know we have representatives from Erskine here. First Baptist Church, Spartanburg, Holly Springs Baptist Church, and Mountain Creek Baptist Church. So we appreciate all of these folks being here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.